Welcome back. This is GTF.
And this is On.
We are now heading into Redmont, the only town in Felghana.
Not even very large at that.
Nope. It's got like 12 people in it, I think.
You know, I love the guard's expression in this version of the game. He just looks so stoned to me.
Now that you mention it, I can see where you're going in that. Yeah, he's also smiling a little too much.
Maybe that's why he didn't notice the huge fracas going on immediately outside the gates.
Yeah, because that location where we rescue Elena is not really that far off on the front gate of the town. It's kind of hard to imagine Gardner couldn't hear it.
Yeah, like 11 o'clock and all's well. Oh man, the clouds.
Look at my hands. They're huge. They can touch everything but each other. Oh, wait a minute. And the introductions. Adol introduced himself to Gardner. Because Adol can never speak.
Yes, the standard East workaround of having him, sort of describe what's going on without actually giving him any dialogue.
It's a tradition. Only in a couple games does he actually have, like, text, and I think only in one game is he actually voiced, and I believe that was the PS2 remake of Wanderers.
Which was largely ignored anyway.
It wasn't very good. You have, like, no invincibility time when you get hit.
Ugh.
Yeah, so, like, a bee in the mines can kinda kick your ass.
That sounds like something that really should have been caught at some point during testing, but who am I to say, I suppose?
Oh, and plus side, Adol runs really fast, so if you kind of hit an enemy, you can sort of hop off them and get away really quick.
And we've just gotten through the absolutely necessary JRPG standard of sort of ominous portents. Monsters seem to be increasing in the area lately, and the weather's been ominous and so on.
Perhaps trouble is brewing.
One wonders.
Here's our little wide pan of the town. Quaint little place, isn't it?
Very much so.
Good for you, Dogi. You worked in an inn. God, can you imagine him doing housekeeping? You wouldn't do that little knock. Housekeeping, housekeeping. You just plow the door open. This is Dogi the Wall Crusher.
And that just gave me the thought of Dogi in a maid outfit, which I'll never be clean again.
I don't really know why that invoked such an image on you, but that's a personal problem.
Well, I'm golden.
Yes, more talking, blah blah blah. Elena still lives with her brother. Nothing really, don't worry about it. You know, it's something to worry about. It always is. Whenever a character in a JRPG says something isn't worth worrying about, it's, like, critical to the whole story. And she walks off. Yes, go away. We don't care about you, Elena.
Probably just imagining things, one of those other phrases that you can never count on in an RPG plot.
Yes. Finally, change of scenery. Yeah, this is going to be one of those segments of this game where it's really just a hell of a lot of talking.
We will get to actual gameplay eventually, just bear with it for the moment.
He always does sort of rely on a fair amount of story and exposition. We gotta get all of that out of the way before we can start killing stuff. And here's Margot. She really doesn't do much for the story, aside from just add some color if you want to talk to her.
And Adol talking without talking again.
Well, it's either the game does that, or everyone just reads his mind. Both happen frequently.
I guess it is preferable to the full-on silent protagonist treatment, which I really never cared for.
That's just how things are when you have the silent protagonist. Either everyone asks you a question and then they just mind read his answer and continue talking as if he replied, or they do what East does and they just sort of state what Adol is doing rather than showing him doing it. And here we have a creepy-looking nobleman and a snooty-looking kid.
Gotta have the pretty boy rival.
Yep. Actually, I wouldn't consider Ernst a pretty boy rival. He was just kind of creepy-looking.
True.
And they didn't really have a very threatening name either.
Yeah, Chester and Ernst sounds more kind of like some Siegfried and Roy takeoff than, a couple of, major contributions to the evil side of the plot.
I suppose so. I'll admit Chester does not have an evil ring to it, kind of the way, like, Darm does. Even Dark Fact. And that sounds more menacing than Chester. I still think I think Chester's a little better than Ernst, though. Ernst, when you hear that, you really just think of him going to camp or saving Christmas or something, not trying to conquer the world.
Hey, Vern.
And Dougie's going to ditch us to go hang out with his old fighting master who taught him how to plow through walls with his bare hands.
Yeah, lesson 1, steroids and punching.
I don't know, there's probably like a lot of breathing exercises. You can imagine him like doing like the Karate Kid sort of thing, whereas instead of wax on, wax off, it's oh yeah, oh yeah. I can imagine it.
Yeah.
Here's another NPC that's really only around for color.
Nothing wrong with that, though. It's certainly preferable to the, old Ultima style of people who just say, "You are in blank town."
Yes, that's true. For Call, Joel doesn't really say anything much aside from being kind of a bit of a downer. I think he only talks about bad news.
But I guess someone has to run the front desk, so here he is.
I think that's supposed to be the bar.
That too.
Whatever. And I'm probably going to end up talking to a lot of these people over again, just because ever since Arkham Depiction, NPCs in these games have had multiple things to say. Usually they do, anyway. And here's Randolph the Town Drunk. He's actually more useful than the apparent, head of the merchants of the town. Because we can at least get an item. We can at least get an item off of Randolph eventually. And here is the mine foreman's daughter. We can actually do some stuff with her that's fairly useful.
And of course, she makes a big deal out of Adol's hair.
Because everyone makes a big deal out of Adol's hair. Because apparently no one else in the world of East has red hair or something like that. And Adol's traveling nicknames of greatness. It's not like Adol, Savior of East, Adol, Slayer of Darm. No, it's not that, not like manly stuff. It's Adol the Red, or the red-haired Adol.
Well, he's a mutant, apparently, which wouldn't explain a lot of things, I suppose.
Yeah, nobody saw him. This is usually where Harold's wife would be. Or at least Harold or his wife, one or the other, depending on when you are in the game. And here's another crab apple of the town.
Get off my lawn.
As far as I know, Rokus, I think that's how I'm going to pronounce his name from now on. He at least is useful because he'll give you some free Revolve later.
But he is entertainingly crotchety.
You gotta have one crotchety old man. And this is where Mayor Edgar would be, but he is not home at the moment. I remembered that after I go in, of course. This is where Chester and Elena live. Well, now it's just Elena, anyway. Nope, Dougie ditched us.
Now, I imagine that's supposed to be an attic or something to that effect, but it just looks like she just has a pigeon platform in her house.
Yeah, you're right. Well, there is a pigeon up there. So, I don't know, maybe it's a pet, it's not really mentioned, it's not important. I'll give this game one thing. Elena is definitely one of the most expressive characters of the series. She's got I have no idea how many face portraits she has. but she's got a lot of them. She expresses at least a lot more emotion than some of the other NPCs in this game. Some of them always have the happiest expressions on their face, even when they're telling you horrible news. or in the cases of some, they just seem like they're all depressed and miserable, even when they're being nice and happy.
The downfalls of adding character portraits if you're not going to, go specific with them on a lot of cases.
Yeah, that's true. Oh, the nun's got a full body portrait. She must be important.
Some way or another.
Yep. That's something you know about in these East games. If they get a full body portrait, you know there's going to be something important about them sooner or later.
Yeah, because really they're not going to bother giving, this big detailed piece of art for the person who tells you, where the shop is or something to that effect.
Yeah, and although that's kind of, what's the word I'm looking for? I guess lazy, as far as, not being consistent with what you're working with for everybody. But on the other hand, it also helps, make the game a little more, what's the word, user-friendly, I guess. It makes it harder to get lost without a clue of what to do and where to go. And not like the, what was that one I'm talking about here? The Nepishtim engine games aren't that hard to get lost in anyway. Oath and Felghana is pretty straightforward. There's really not too many places to go outside of the paths that take you to the dungeons. And the dungeons themselves are very straightforward. It's hard to get lost in them. It's not like we're talking about Solomon's Shrine or the Underground, or the, what were the ruins? The Rastini Ruins.
Although the abandoned mine with the limited light source in the first one was the ultimate in East Dungeon evil for me.
Yeah, I suppose we're gonna have to do that in Felghana as well.
Oh dear.
Yeah, but again, the mines are a lot more straightforward, so it's a lot harder to get lost. It's easier to get mauled by the giant trolls roaming around in them.
Yeah, I haven't actually played that far in this version of the game yet, and there wasn't anything with limited light in the original Wanderers, so that'll be something new.
Well, we'll get to see it soon. And here was Ricardo, the obligatory character who always has his eyes clamped shut, but somehow sees everything in front of him.
And here's the inaugural bust down must question.
Nah, let's help him. I've never actually refused, but it's probably going to be one of those cases where it's like, but you have to. Kind of like in Rambo, where they give you the option of just not starting the game, and
I feel better in prison.
Yes, you have that option. It's like, but the game won't start unless you accept. That's
Fourth wall? I've heard of it.
I talked to Adonis, and yes, Adonis is a prick and will not give us the time of day without Gardner saying it's okay to do so. There's Cynthia, the obligatory hot shopkeeper ever since Zalem from East 2 complete. Ever notice that about the East games ever since then? You no longer have like the gruff guy like Guido running the stores, or the old man like Jade. Nope, you don't have those. It's always like the hot shopkeeper now.
Yeah, I never really thought about that outside of Zalem and so on, but now that you mention it, yeah, the MLS forging woman in Nepishtim was kind of on the hot side.
Yep, it's a trend. Let's face it, that's what the players want to see.
Yeah, I'm not too proud to appreciate a little fan service every now and again.
Of course. We are but human, after all. And this is the quick little explanation of how the Revolve system works here. It's not that much different from Nepishtim's MLS system, except, it's a little easier to hoard up Revolve because the game gives you tons of it.
Whereas the only good source for MLS in Nepishtim was the sort of mini-game puzzle dungeons, which were only added for the PS2 version, so I can't imagine how hard it was to build up MLS in the original Windows version.
This is the upgrading system. You basically, pick one of your weapons, your sword, your shield, or your armor, and then you pay some money and some revolve to give it a quick little boost. Right now I went with the sword because it's the most cost efficient. We are only given one free revolve to work with, and the biggest bang for that sort of dollar is going to be the sword, which gives you +2 to the strength, while the armors get +1 each.
And I imagine with the weaker enemies in the early game, just being able to plow through them quickly is as good as being able to take less damage from them.
Yeah, because, you pretty much whacking something with your sword stuns them. So if you can just keep nailing them with your basic combo, which happens to be respectfully long in this game, you can pretty much lock them down and prevent them from ever attacking you.
Which I kind of like about this version of the Napishtim engine. This is a tweaked version of the engine, which I forgot to mention earlier. They've made some changes. But yeah, the basic combo is quite a bit longer. And that makes it kind of feel a little more like Wanderers to me. Just because in Wanderers, the general kind of fighting style of the game was just to buzzsaw the hell out of everything with really fast sword strikes.
Yeah, that pretty much is how it works in Felghana, because even once you do your little finisher swing, you recover from that really quickly.
Right.
And up there was Antonio. He's going to be kind of important because he's going to be mooching off of our revolve for quite a while. But he pays us well for it. He's a jerk from Rom.
Yeah, the Roman Empire is pretty much the East Universe way of introducing, some sort of organized bunch of assholes whenever one is particularly needed, it seems.
Yeah, literally whenever they're needed. You can just count on the Roman Empire to show up. It's kind of what happens in Napishtim.
Yeah, and in Wanderers they never came up, but in this one the jerk nobleman is affiliated with them.
Yes. The Felghana's storyline is a rewritten version of Wanderers just to help to sort of make it fit better into the currently existing East chronology. And one of the changes was that Felghana is basically maybe not I'm not sure what the political status would be, but something similar to a colony of the Roman Empire. It's the nobleman who showed up there, which is Count Maguire. He is basically an overseer sent by the Empire to basically manage the affairs. That's one of the big changes of the story.
He has a surprisingly, nice and intricate castle for pretty much overseeing a town.
No, when you talk to people, they'll tell you that he basically forced them all into basically forced people into practically slave labor to have the thing built.
Ugh.
Of course, he also contracted out a lot of mercenaries to help out and stuff like that. Apparently, most of his knights are actually mercenaries as well.
I suppose that figures. You're not really gonna pull that kind of a fighting force out of just the inhabitants of Felghana.
Yes.
Or not of Redmont, rather.
Yeah. And here's Paul.
Paul with his frightening lips.
Worthless piece of crap. He cries and pees himself every chance he gets.
Ricardo sent me.
Yes. We know we're a lifesaver. We're at all the red. That's what we do. We go and save the world and have nobody remember that we did so. Good to know you're scared, Paul. Now just go. Go stand in the corner and think about how useless you are.
The fact that he actually manages to block you if you come here before, finding out about the incident in the mine is kind of astonishing.
Yeah, considering he's such a crybaby. But we're just going to show up the menu here real quick. Not much to do, but we're sort of running out of time. And I'm going to be signing off now. We'll see you next time when we actually go into the Tagray Quarry.
See you soon.